Well, hi, this is Brian, and this is my latest gardening project. My traditional garden, which you see over here, it's kind of dying after the winter stuff is kind of finished and never really did well. And I think a lot of the reasons I've had poor luck with this garden is that it's just really not raised enough. I didn't import enough good dirt. And I know it's an eyesore right now, but anyway, the only thing that's grown well in here is tomatoes. So my latest attempt is to kind of go all out and really raise the bed, use none of my existing dirt, give myself lots of drainage. And this is going to be is a keyhole design. Now usually a keyhole is round, and that's probably the ideal shape. But I wanted to build it out of wood because I'm more comfortable with that. And at least in my area, it seemed to be the cheaper option. And so I went ahead and built it out of 2x4 and plywood material. The plywood material may not last too long. It may break down and bow and not do too well as a wall structure, but I can fill in these areas with more 2x4s if I need additional reinforcement as time goes on. But the basic idea with the keyhole garden, which you can Google and learn more about, but is basically you put all your compost and stuff in this middle area, and then as it decomposes, the moisture and nutrients and beneficial microbes and stuff kind of leach out into the surrounding soil. And the typical diameter of a keyhole garden is 6 feet. This is a 6-foot box, so the corners are going to be a little bit too far away. And it is really tall. It's 3 feet high on the outside and a little bit taller in the middle. The reason for that, I think, is so that gravity can kind of help pull the nutrients all the way to the outside. Your typical raised bed is not going to need to be this tall, but anyway, so it may be a little excessively high, but I should not have a problem with soil quality if I'm bringing in 3 foot of, or almost 3 feet of good dirt from a landscaping supply place. So the basic design, as you see, is 2x4 and plywood. The corners are reinforced with an extra piece of 2x4. I got 3-inch screws holding it together. I did spray it with a wood sealer inside and out, and then I'm going to stain it on the outside. I didn't probably do enough research on the wood sealer. It seems like a fairly benign water-based product that I used, but it would have been good to use a truly food-safe product. So if you do this, I would recommend researching a little bit more. The stain is definitely not a very safe product, so that's going to only be on the outside for mostly cosmetic purposes. And then on the inside, I kind of constructed this little walled area to walk into. And then basically this is 2 feet wide here, and then these are each 2-foot walls. So hopefully it'll be strong enough. I put in these little reinforcing pieces to kind of make sure that the crush of the soil on either side doesn't squeeze this thing together. So we'll see how that goes. And then as far as the compost area, so I didn't do anything special except spray a little bit of wood sealer on the outer walls. But in here it's going to be really moist all the time. Lots of microbial activity against this wood at all times. So we had some furniture wrap that you get at like a U-Haul or whatever. And so I just did a couple layers of that, wrapped around that area to try to keep the moist compost pile away from the wood. And then the outside is just chicken wire wrapped around some stakes, and then stapled or nailed into the side there. Now the compost, or this wire rather, is really not doing too much, but typically you do see some sort of a wrapping scheme around the compost pile, and I think the idea is just to kind of keep some of the outer soil at bay. I really don't know that this is going to do anything. It's not certainly strong enough to hold much out, but basically we'll fill it in with compostable stuff in here, fill it in with dirt on the outside at the same time, so the forces should be roughly equal to each other. This just kind of provides a little bit of a barrier, especially up at the top where a lot of just kind of raw vegetables and stuff are going to be decaying. We don't want those just kind of rolling out onto the garden area. The next step, besides the stain, once it dries up a little bit here, we kind of have some wet days here, is I'm going to bring in a drip line sprinkler, so I'll show that in the next video, but I already have a buried line right here, and I'm just going to kind of bring it across and then come up the side, and then we're going to come out here into kind of a U shape, and so that should be good. Give me some automated watering. So that's phase one. I'll let you know, or I'll give an update once we've got some dirt in and everything like that.